In this class we'll look at leadership. Now this is one class amongst many on this topic, and it's important that you consult widely and look at the other classes and also look at the extensive range of PDFs that cover this topic. So in a sense this particular video is a revision class on the other videos on leadership. Nonetheless, it does contain insights and it is worth studying in its own right, and you should make notes from it and add it to your list of ideas and your background reading on the topic of leadership. Clearly it's an important issue in the study of organizations and business. So there are many definitions of leadership because of the various approaches taken in researching the subject. Leadership is looked at from different perspectives, from a psychological perspective, from an organizational perspective. It's looked at from various managerial perspectives. So it crops up in different ways in different literatures, and clearly there are different ideas associated with leadership and the importance of leadership as a consequence. However, our focus is on business, and what we need to do is to isolate out relevant points and issues associated with leadership in the context of business. Yokel in 2002 suggested that most definitions reflect the assumption that leadership involves a process whereby intentional influence is exerted by one person over other people to guide, structure and facilitate activities and relationships in a group or organization. So it's an intentional influence. The leader is not accidentally leading, the leader is intentionally leading, and it's exerted by one person over other people. And the purpose of leadership, according to this view, is to guide, structure and facilitate activities and relationships in a group or organization. So that's a clear definition of leadership, and one worth noting. Now, definitions of leadership may vary because of the writer or researcher, and these may come from different disciplines, as I said, from psychology, from economics, from management, and so on. So there are different perspectives of leadership. We have management theorists who have made a lot of contributions towards the understanding of leadership. Sociologists are interested in leadership, as are psychologists, and of course, as I said earlier, economists. So I'm sure we could add to this list, and we can add other disciplines, but for the moment, in the context of business, we can see that what we understand by leadership is partially influenced by the work from other disciplines. The definition we just had is a good definition that seems to summarize what leadership is about, the core of leadership. But different perspectives will lead to different views and different ideas associated. Koratko and Hodgetts in 2001 suggested that entrepreneurial leadership can be identified as the ability to anticipate, envision, maintain flexibility, think strategically and work with others to initiate changes that will create a viable future for the organization. But here, please note, we're talking about entrepreneurial leadership. This is leadership targeted at introducing new products, new processes, new innovations, new ways of working. It's the idea of change within the organization and the leadership that's required to bring about the change. So the leader must anticipate and envision and maintain flexibility, think strategically, and work with others to initiate change that will create a viable future for the organization. So in a sense, we can start to contrast here entrepreneurial leadership with the more routine leadership that we would find within organizations. If the organization is somehow settled and there are no radical proposals for change within the organization, so in a sense the routines of the business are day to day, we'd still expect to see leadership. We'd still expect to see someone guiding the organization. We'd still expect to see leadership in terms of looking at how the work is performed and ensuring that standards and quality are being maintained. So we would still look to identify leaders within that organization. But certainly within entrepreneurial organizations, ones which are undertaking great change, introducing new products or new ways of working or innovations, we would certainly expect to see leadership. Tichy and Cohen in 1998, they recognized that leadership is more about thinking, judging, acting and motivating than about strategies or methodologies and tools. So it's more about thinking and judging and acting and motivating. So leadership is about not so much working out strategies, but it's working on ways to improve the current situation, improve the product, improve the processes within the organization. It's looking at judging the standards by which the organization is performing and seeing if there's a better way of doing it, and then getting others to follow in bringing about changes which will improve the organization. Strategies, methodologies and tools are focal points. This is what gives the organization direction. But bringing about the change, bringing about the achievement of the direction indicated in the strategies, that's the function of leadership. That's where leaders are required to bring the workforce with them to achieve the strategies that have been set out. So there is a distinction between leadership and strategy and the direction in which the organization is moving. Clearly, the top management in designing the strategic plan for the organization may be entrepreneurial and look for niches in the market and identify products that are suitable for the market and changes that they would like to see within the organization. But bringing about those changes requires leadership. Getting the workers and the management and the line management and all of those, getting everybody behind the initiative to bring about the changes that are required to fulfill the strategic objectives. That needs leadership. It suggests that the various definitions, or the definition by Kuratko and Hodgetts, lacks the emotional nature of leadership. Leadership is somewhat emotional. It requires that the followers understand what the leader is trying to do and respect the leader and follow the leader because they have confidence that the leader will achieve what he or she is setting out to achieve. Now, the difference between leadership and management. Well, Levesque considered managers to be team players and coordinators of others. So managers are team players. They coordinate others. They link others together and try to achieve outcomes. So managers tend to work with others. Whereas leaders must balance stakeholders' interest and be visionaries and judges. Leaders are much more inspiring. Managers make sure that the processes are completed according to the requirements of the job. They make sure that the paperwork is completed and that the workers work according to the set rules, and they implement the plans. The leaders give example. They are visionaries. They look at the processes and see if they can be changed and altered and be made more successful. And the workers are willing to follow the leaders because they trust them. They believe the leaders. So the leaders are not so involved in the routine processes, making sure that the tasks are followed according to the rules. The leaders are the ones who, in a sense, help to develop the rules through example and getting the workforce to follow their example, presumably aimed at being more successful and more productive. Rather than managing people towards a result, leaders manipulate the whole set of resources. The leaders look at everything that's there and try to optimize, giving the whole envelope of resources that are available, to try to match them up in some perhaps innovative way that will improve efficiency and give greater satisfaction to the workers. So they inspire the workers. The workers will follow them because they believe in them. The managers, on the other hand, in a sense, are forcing the workers to follow certain routines because that's what is laid down. Those are the plans. That's what has been decided the organization will do. The leaders are, in a sense, more creative and trying to get the workers to be more productive and more innovative in their work, more applied to their work, and, in a sense, more critical of the more routinized functions, looking for better and innovative ways of performing those. Vervaeke sees the effective leadership as applying at all levels of the organization. Leadership is not confined to the top tier of the organization. Leadership can apply at any level or within different departments. Leaders emerge. People have trust in the leader. They have confidence in the leader that they will get the job done, get it done efficiently, and they will use all of the resources available and employ the resources to try and get good results. So they inspire the workforce to follow them. Kotter suggested that leading and managing are separate. In fact, they're mutually exclusive. Managing is, in a sense, following the rules. This is how the job is completed, so the following tasks must be completed, A, B, C, D. And when they're completed, the boxes is ticked. And the manager has done his or her job. They have managed the situation. The leader is much more creative and much more thought-provoking, and also much more inspiring to the workers. Constantly trying to change the system, innovate the system, give a better experience to the workers, and also improve the efficiency of the organization by using the resources more creatively. There is no way of sorting complex individuals into extreme stereotypes. Leaders are leaders. Sometimes the leaders may become good managers. Sometimes managers may become leaders. It's not a once and for all classification. There could be movement between the two. But in terms of functions, that's what we need to see. We need to see the managers are the ones who implement the rules. Help to develop the rules perhaps, but then implement them. The leaders, much more inspiring to the workers, trying to get the workers to follow them, leading by example, showing the way, making use of resources in innovative ways, much more dynamic and much more creative in their approach to work. There is inevitably some overlap in the types of people who manage and the type of people who lead. Some organizations, those two functions may come in one. It's possible to have managers who are, in a sense, seeing through the tasks according to the requirements, fulfilling the obligations of the paperwork and ticking the boxes. But at the same time, looking at the use of resources and trying to lead the workers to be more efficient, to apply themselves more diligently to the task, and to be more involved. So sometimes the two functions can coincide. So what we've got from this particular session is essentially the difference between managers and leaders. The managers are ones who can be trusted to do the job, fulfill the requirements of the task, and complete the paperwork and complete the task and show the results that was required. The leaders are much more dynamic, innovative, thoughtful, looking at resources, looking critically at the processes, trying to bring about improvements, looking towards innovation and change, and involving the workforce and leading the workforce, trying to instill more enthusiasm, more involvement with the work. So it's a different set of skills. As I said, sometimes they overlap. A lot of the time they will be quite distinct. But also, leaders don't have to be at the top tier of management. Leaders can be right throughout the organization, from the shop floor to middle management, line management, in the offices, top management. Leaders can occur anywhere. And they are the ones who will inspire the workers to apply themselves more creatively, to have greater productivity, and to have a better working experience with better quality and more output. So that's what we mean by leadership and management. And this is quite a short class. There's a lot more to be said on leadership, as I said earlier, and many other videos on this topic. So it's important to look at those and make a good set of notes out of them. But that's all we're going to do here, so let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.